listening to Sdo Isabela Radio Base Instruction.
Come on, Mapeh!
Yay!
Mapeh paawit, Mapeh pagguhit, Mapeh sayaw at Mapeh lusog ka. When learning continues in Mapeh Edukalidad. Hey!
When learning continues in Mapeh Edukalidad.
I don't paint dreams or nightmares. I paint my own reality. What a staggering line to start with from the wisdom of Frida Kahlo. Good day again, my imaginative lads and ladies. Are you excited for today's learning adventure?
Yay!
Great! I cannot wait either. Welcome to our second episode in Mapeh Arts 9 with the title Western Classical Arts Tradition. From the Division of Isabela, I am your radio teacher for today, Mr. Roberto U. Espanol Jr. at your service. Last time, we learned and analyzed art elements and principles in the production of work following the style of Western world. Today, we will not only pay a flying visit, but we will return and walk through their history along with their paintings and explore how the timelines of their arts and history have intertwined and evolved and connected to our way of creativity. So, what are we waiting for? Grab your pen and paper as we rediscover on air the magic of the Western world. Buckle up everyone, let's go back to Europe. Art is the expression or application of human creative skills and imagination. Typically, in a visual form, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. One of the various branches in manifesting the power of creativity is through painting. Painting in the Western world is an undying work of art, since the history of their painting reaches back in time to artifacts from their prehistoric artists and spans all cultures. And today, to deepen your knowledge about the distinct characteristics of Western paintings from early ages to medieval era, we will savor the stunning, beautiful, historical arts found in Europe. Woo! I've fallen in love with their oratorio during the Baroque period. I'm sure that there will be much delight to be taken as we walk over the traces and characteristics of their paintings. But before we savor the fun of tracing, take a deep breath first, for we are about to start the learning journey with a game. We will call this game Familiar into the Unfamiliar. I have here in my hands the list of familiar things that played important roles in the timeline of humanity's arts and creativity. In this game, I will be asking questions on where early artists put their artistic innovation and ingenuity. So, you must identify what place or thing in which the artwork should be rested depending on the timeline given. You may write your answers on a sheet of paper. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure everyone now is ready. Let's start. Number 1. If you were born in prehistoric era, like the animated movie created by DreamWorks entitled The Croods, which familiar place are you going to paint? Would you place your artistic innovation on caves, temple walls, vases, or church windows? Time's up. The answer is cave. Did you get it? Remember, my dear students, that in ancient times or prehistoric period, there's no paint and pastels to choose from, but early humans had to show their knack of painting by placing their creative activities on caves. Second, if you were born as an Egyptian in the 3rd century AD, which place would you lay your creativity? Would you place your creativity on caves, temple walls, vases, or church windows? Time's up. The answer is temple walls. Please take note that Egyptians in ancient times painted the walls and ceilings of temples in the belief that the one who had passed would be able to take all the images of their life with them, and only the deceased and the Egyptian gods would ever see the paintings. Next, if you were an artist of fired clay or pottery in classical era, where would you place your artistic inventiveness in that given period? Would you place your creativity on caves, temple walls, vases, or church windows? Time's up. The answer is vases. Bear in mind, my dear learners, that vases in classical period played an important role in reflecting not just the classical beauty, but also the culture and history of Romans and Greeks. Last item. Listen carefully. If you were an artist who was born in the medieval period, which encompasses the sacred and secular music of Western Europe, which is the Gregorian chant, which familiar place are you going to paint? Would you place your artistic innovation on caves, temple walls, vases, or church windows? Time's up. The answer is church windows. Always bear in mind, class, that medieval painting in Europe was rich in religious imagery and symbolism due to the influence of religion during the medieval times. The main attention in the medieval painting was paid to the depiction of famous figures, which are mainly religious. According to CNN, every year, billions of dollars worth of art passes through international auction houses, while leading museums each hold tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of artworks in their collections. But precious few ever achieve the fame required to truly be considered a household name. Even before humans learned to read and write, they were already artists, as manifested by the different archaeological discoveries from the different parts of the world. Each and every civilization of the world has its distinct art form depending on its aesthetic and utilitarian needs. And today, we will discuss the distinct characteristics of arts during the different art periods. Always remember, my dear students, that there are three genres of painting. We have the ancient paintings, the classical paintings, and the medieval paintings. Let us now unearth the distinct characteristics of ancient painting. The earliest form of prehistoric art are extremely primitive. Prehistoric includes all human existence before the emergence of writing. Their art of interest not only to the art historians but also to archaeologists and anthropologists, for whom the art is only one clue along with fossils, colons, and other finds to an understanding of early human life and culture. The paintings were found inside the caves, which may have been their way of communicating with each other. It may also be for religious or ceremonial purposes. Some sections have been identified inside the cave, such as the Great Hall of the Bulls, the Lateral Passage, and the Shaft of the Dead Man. Next, we have the ancient Egyptian paintings. The purpose of Egyptian paintings is to make the deceased afterlife place pleasant. Themes include journey to the underworld, introducing the deceased to the gods of the underworld by their protective deities. The function of these ancient paintings in ancient Egypt is to benefit the divine and honor their deceased members. Temple walls would be painted without being carved. The ancient Egyptians also painted on papyrus, their form of paper. One of the important distinctions of Egyptian art is the use of realism. In fact, the Egyptian styles found in reliefs and paintings remained almost unchanged for nearly 3,000 years. Let's have the Western classical art traditions. Painting during the classical era were most commonly found in vases, panels, and tombs. It depicts natural figures with dynamic compositions. Ancient Greek art depicts naturalism. They portray human forms in a realistic and anatomically correct manner. Most of the subjects were battle scenes, mythological figures, and everyday scenes. It reveals a grasp of linear perspective and naturalist representation. Their art has a conservative form with a very complex detail. Under classical Greek era, we have vase painting whose common motifs were mostly scenes from the life of women, mythological beings that were popular among the people of the Black Sea, or a scene from mythical story or event. They also have panel painting during this period. There are paintings on flat panels of wood. It can be either a small single piece or several panels joined together. Most of the panel paintings no longer exist because of its organic composition. Tomb or wall paintings was very popular during the classical period. It uses the method frescoes, either tempera or water-based or encaustic or wax. It has a sharp, flatly outlined style of painting, and because it uses water-based materials, very few samples survived. Roman art developed as a new source of artistic creativity, much more progressive than the conservative Greek art. The diversity of its form and its variety inspired the modern attitude in art paintings. Fresco technique was used in brightly colored backgrounds, division of the wall into multiple rectangular areas, or tic-tac-toe design, multi-point perspective, and trompe-l'oeil effect. Roman paintings have a wide variety of subjects: animals, everyday life, still life, mythological subjects, portraits, and landscapes. The development of landscape painting is the main innovation of Roman painting from Greek painting. Mosaic became eminent during this era. It is an art process where an image is created using an assemblage of small pieces of colored glass, stones, and other materials. Next, we have the medieval period. The medieval art illustrates the passionate interest and idealistic expression of the Christian and Catholic faith. Under this era, there are three genres of arts, namely the Byzantine art, the Romanesque art, and the Gothic art. Byzantine art was purposely made to glorify the Christian religion and to express its mystery. It is filled with spiritual symbolisms, illustrates a love of splendor. It was a combination of Eastern with their decorative art forms and classical Western art with naturalistic art. Romanesque art was characterized by its very vigorous style in painting and sculpture, lavishly decorated manuscripts, and retained many basic features of Roman architectural styles. It was also greatly influenced by the Byzantine art with a highly innovative and coherent style. The basic characteristics of Gothic styles reinforce symbolic meanings. The church symbolizes the transcendence of the soul, and the underlying philosophy is to create buildings of height and light. Different eras, different styles, different characteristics and functions of the arts occurred, but all of those contributed in the development and establishing the importance of arts in our lives today. Now class, did you enjoy tracing the distinct characteristics of art, especially paintings, from the ancient times to the medieval period?
Yes, sir.
Have you explored this topic with fun and learning?
Yes, sir.
Great! And we're done with our learning journey. Good job for keeping up with me along with our fun-filled learning. Before we proceed to the final activity of this lesson, let's sum up our learning for today. Can you still remember the three major painting genres?
Yes, sir.
Good! We have the ancient paintings, the classical paintings, and the medieval paintings. Under ancient paintings, we have two eras, namely, the prehistoric period and the ancient Egyptian period. Under classical painting, we have two eras, namely, the classical Greek era and the Roman era. Under medieval paintings, we have three periods, or art genres, namely the Byzantine art, the Romanesque art, and the Gothic art. This timeline of arts and cultures of the world have shown us the importance of colors and lines of the past. Art both reflects and help us in creating a culture not only of creativity and influence, but also a culture of reflection and reward. Yes, a reflection of the past and a reward of the present. Studying art of the past teaches us how people have seen themselves and the world, and how they want to show this to others. More so, it is important for us to learn the characteristics of arts from the earliest times, because it provides us with means by which we can understand our human past and its relationship to our present, since the act of creativity is one of humanity's most common activities. Also, we will be able to trace the development of our own arts as Filipinos, because this will be continuously shaped and influenced by other art forms of the world. Keep in mind, class, that art plays a significant role in our daily lives and activities. And lastly, bear in mind, class, that we can better understand and appreciate a work of beauty and vitality by understanding its place with historical continuity. I hope that by the end of this session, you shall have understood the essence of our topic. Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Great! Let's have our final activity. Let's call our final activity yes or no. On your activity sheets, write yes if the statement is correct and write no if the statement is incorrect. There will be 5 items here and we will check your answers once the timer stops. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's start. Number 1. Even before humans learned to read and write, they were already artists as manifested by the different archaeological discoveries from the different parts of the world. Yes or no? Time's up. The answer is yes. Number 2. Egyptian civilization was one of the early civilizations that have greatly contributed in the development of art, religion, science, and technology of the world. Egyptian art is primarily religious in nature. Yes or no? Time's up. The answer is yes. Number 3. Ancient Greek art depicts naturalism. They portray human forms in a realistic and anatomically correct manner. Their art has a conservative form with a very complex detail. Yes or no? Time's up. The answer is a big yes. Number 4. Roman art developed as a new source of artistic creativity, much more progressive than the conservative Greek art. The diversity of its form and its variety inspired the modern attitude in art. Yes or no? Time's up. Again, the answer is yes. And for number 5, the basic characteristic of Gothic art styles reinforce symbolic meanings. The church symbolizes the transcendence of the soul, and the underlying philosophy is to create buildings of height and light. Yes or no? Time's up. The answer is yes. That's it, class. This is the composition of our on-air rediscovery of paintings from earliest times to medieval period of the Western world. I am sure there will be more exciting on-air tours coming in the following topics to be covered. I appreciate you for taking the time listening to me while exploring the magic of art forms brought from ancient, classical to medieval era. With that, let us cherish our own art and crafts as Filipinos, for these works of art play significant roles in our society, economy, and religion. On behalf of the scriptwriter, Ma'am Bernadette G. Segundo from Reina Mercedes Vocational and Industrial School, together with the RBI production team, this has been your teacher on air, Sir Roberto U. Espanyol Jr., saying that arts may rot in history, but their significance will be an undying legacy. Goodbye, my imaginative lads and ladies. Keep safe always. Godspeed.
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon.
Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang may iwan.
Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela!